could go back, I would stay sober and go on all the biggest roller coasters. The last thing that you wanna have is regrets.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Double down, lug nut. Welcome to the Fo0H Tribe, bitches. Hey, welcome to episode 6/7 divided by Sigma. Hey, yeah. Welcome to the Fo0H Tribe, where men can be men. This episode, I have asked the infamous Hog Jr. to join me. My 17-year-old freaking stud of a man. I won't get into details, but anyway, I have an awesome conversation with my son talking about how video games kind of bonded us, you know, what he's learned, what he's experienced on the game, what he's liked about video games, and he just sort of have a conversation just from like a 17-year-old's perspective, which I think is pretty interesting and different, considering that we've had conversations with adults and older men from the rip. So this is definitely going to be a freaking sharpshooter, knee slapper of a freaking episode. But before I get into that, I think it would be apropos and necessary that you roll into the kitchen and get yourself just a Fairlife chocolate milk mug of milk and just wash your shit down with it. Because it's time to get freaking crazy, baby. What's in there? Hey! It's my pleasure and pure joy and excitement to share with you one of my children that my ex-wife birthed, who goes by the name Hog Jr. Hog Jr., welcome to the Fo0H Tribe Podcast, where men can be men.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor being on the show. Kind of lived up my whole life for this moment.
Haven't you? I mean, like, legit, you've been a part of, like, the Fo0H Tribe from the beginning, right? Like, the camper days, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah, everything.
I think what happened after that was I stopped playing for a long period of time, but talked about it. And you and Gavin got into playing Black Ops. And you guys always talked about, you know, the different sniper rifles you were using and how you clutched on Fortnite. And finally, I think it was during COVID, I was like, fuck this. You know, like, I'm good at this game too. I'm going to go get an Xbox and we'll play together. And do you remember the first time we played in Verdansk together?
Oh yeah, it was I vividly remember it. I just remember loading in with you and having to explain a lot.
Yeah, like,
Like
what
I'm
did
like,
I get
yeah,
upset at you
hey,
about? Like, you would do what when we got attacked by enemies?
I'd make call outs and you wouldn't I'd be cracked and you're like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like not like a Baltimore crackhead, you know? Like it's just I'm like no damn it. Like
I'm like,
he lost some shield. Well, what's shield? Do you know what armor is? Yeah. Okay, so the armor you put it on. So just kind of like explaining a little bit everything. I was like walking you through because like you know how to shoot, you know how to do a little bit, but it was also like the movement behind it and the ways of it.
totally.
I
But
think
like,
that was the explaining.
well, I think the other component too was like you knew this dialogue that I had no experience with. So you would get behind a building and you would fry a guy and you'd go cracked, and then you'd be like, on me, he's on me, he's on me, and you'd freaking yell at me and be like, Dad, he's on me, and I'm like, what? And I think at the time I was using a shield, right? Like, because that was
No. Your first guns you started using were the MP7 and the M13.
oh, really? You remember?
I remember you loved the MP7.
I
You
did
used
love
the
it.
MP and then you'd sometimes use the Tundra. No, it was HDR for the sniper.
Really? The HDR? I'm shocked that you
Yes,
remember that.
I remember that. And then I got you onto the Growl a bit,
Yes, you did. I remember I
and
bought that
then
skin. Yeah, I bought that gun.
the Prototype Alpha. That's what it was called.
Whoa.
And then you also used the M4A1 a lot.
I did. I did use the M4. I can't believe you remember that. I love that. Um, but do you remember the night we got our first win?
Oh my God. Here. So of course, because we were in the playroom, and
Right.
it was just like it was a good game. Like we were, you were on top of your shit, and It was when we didn't have AC, so you're in the back sweating like a fucking hog, and I could smell your aroma all the way from over here. And in a sense, it was so bad that I think that was the main reason when we won, because the motherfuckers could smell it through the
Right.
screen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I remember we were at,
Were we at
that like,
prison? I mean,
no,
wasn't
no,
it?
no, 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 nowhere near that. We were
No,
at
not
like
on
the
Rebirth.
woods area. It was
Where?
on Verdansk.
No, I
We
know.
were at,
I remember being in prison, which was like on the left-hand corner of the map, and it had like the gulag in there. Was that not the first time we won?
no, 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 no. Our first time we won, it was in that little open area with the woods around it and the barns and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was here. I could pull it up. But it was like it was that area. We won in one of those houses. Um, I remember what it was.
Did
I
you
don't remember what
clutch?
it was
Because I
called.
know I don't think I did.
I think we were no. We were both alive. Um, I remember that we were both alive, and I don't remember how we got the win. I think I killed him, and then, or maybe you killed him. I think.
Did
And I
I
was
hit
like,
him? Did I hit him with the shield or a knife? Or
no, no, no. You shot him. I remember.
okay.
You didn't start using your riot shield and stuff until you started playing what's it called? Plunder. And you started playing Plunder after a couple months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
But
playing. That's how I met Deuce and those guys.
uh-huh. And so I remember you killed him and you just froze. I was like, Dad, we won. And you just sitting there. I was like, Dad, we won. And you came up to me like, holy shit. Yeah, I was
It was like it was an amazing accomplishment, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, people told me like that. You sounded happier than, when people told me how you talked about giving birth to your kids or the birth of your kids.
so what? So what about playing with your dad? In that world was so much fun for you.
I think it was a little bit was the aspect of annoying mom. I
Right.
just found that a little funny because she's like, well, like her standpoint was you shouldn't be playing with something, but it was also, it was something that like I love doing.
Right.
Video games are such like most men love video games, and so like doing it with someone as significant as your father, who you look up to, it's a big bonding moment, and especially something that is fun and as enjoyable as that, and you kind of bring them into your world, and it's one of the few things, especially with you not being new to the games, but you new to the new environment of Verdansk. It was nice because there was very few things I ever, a son could show their dad how to do,
Right. Right. Right.
and
Right. Right. Good point.
showing them how to do this thing, you kind of gain this sense of, like this. This is like my jam, I'm just explaining to my dad, and
Right. Right.
99% of the time, my dad's explaining how to do this because he's lived longer. So it's
Right.
just, that was a nice component of it. The other was
Nice.
just playing with your dad,
Well, and the
the
other
bonding
component
experience of
too,
that.
that like, yeah, I mean, just like I do with Deuce and Monroe and everyone else, like there's a bonding that goes on that I think happens differently when you do it with your son, right? Like it's more, I wouldn't say real, but like it's more personal, right? Like it's more, I mean, it's
Hmm.
really a bonding thing. And then as we started playing more and more and getting on Rebirth, and I got better with my movement and all that kind of stuff, like we were laying the smackdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you started getting better towards Rebirth. Like that's when you started like actually like getting the flow of things.
Well, the other thing too is, and this always kind of blew my mind. Like whenever I would look out a window, you'd be like, "Dad, don't do that. Dad, don't do that. If you're gonna do it, make sure that you jump." You know what I mean? And then there were times when we were on Rebirth. I think I was watching you this one game, and you're like, "Dad, watch this." So I was like, "Okay, I'm watching."
Oh yeah, I remember
And
that.
and you were like, "All right, let's wait for the gas to go." And I have my mask on. I'm gonna wear my mask, and then I'm gonna come from height because height gives you an advantage. And I'm gonna smoke these guys. And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
And I said to myself,
I
I was like, "Yeah, right." And then you did it, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like, way to go!" Like the fact that you were able to really strategize in the moment. I thought was profound. I mean, like,
Well, it was so I was it was squads no fill. I accidentally put it in no fill, and I was like, "Dad, you just want to watch me?" And you're like, "Sure." Because it was my last game I was gonna play. I was like, "Here, I'll walk you through how to do it." And so I was just getting bodies left and right. You know, you die in squads no fill, you don't come back.
right,
So I'm going against teams of four. So you have to play it so passive. And I wasn't at the skill where I could rush everyone. So I was on top. I was on the right end of prison,
prison, yeah,
and I was like, "Yo, watch this." And so I waited till the zone to close in. I was like, "All these motherfuckers are gonna be, towards the the wall in the building, like the
right, right,
outside,
right,
the prison
right.
wall." Like, and so I was like, "All they're gonna be over there." So I jumped, and I remember I was using the street sweeper, and then I was also using the LMG that's from Cold War,
Uh-huh.
and the Stoner 63. And I just remember just fucking laying them out, killed all of them, and then I jumped down to that building under it. I forgot what was this called. I fucking killed a guy. And I just remember explaining it to you and looking at you, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
Well, I mean, that brings up another good point. Remember that day you're like, hey, Dad, come check me out during multiplayer, and you had the Car 98 and the
And the
Renetti,
Renettis, yeah,
dude.
I dropped
That
like 75 kills.
dude, I was freaking dumbfounded. Like, I legit, what still baffles me today is um, quick scoping and that whole mindset that goes with that, and having in your head the center area of where you know where the bullet's going to go. And I just remember, I don't know if it's an age thing or what it is, but you know you at that age, 15, turning 15 and even 16, like your quick scoping skills just baffled me. And then the fact that you could quickly shift to a Renetti and then fry dudes in the head. Like, I just remember sitting there. What was that map on multiplayer that we always play?
Shoot house.
Shoot House. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like, how do you get, that many? And I know that you're not cheating, right? So
Hmm.
I was really, really impressed. And quite honestly, just like taken back by how good you and both, Gavin were.
I
Um,
was always better than Gavin.
I know you were. Remember we did that Fo0H Tribe video of the two of you doing a one-on-one?
Yeah.
All right, I'll inject some of that in here. It was great. I remember watching that. But so one of the things that I do want to kind of get your thoughts on is when, and you explained it to me the other night, was you played Warzone or Black Ops before Warzone came, and experienced the madness that goes on when kids from all over the country get on the game and just start talking smack. Like, do you remember when you first logged in and how you felt when you heard that for the first time?
Yeah, well, like being that age, like after like 2 weeks, I became one of those kids,
Right, of
because
course.
like what are these people gonna do? They're gonna come at me or fucking find my address and kill me?
Right,
No, like
right.
like I don't know any of these people, so like it's I think being hearing it, you'll be baffled the first couple of times, but then you'll be like, okay, this is the environment, you're gonna have to get adapted to. Like not saying that you're going into like a fucking whole war, but like, you can easily turn it off, and that's what I would do. Like I'm just so like focused on the game,
Right.
and Black Ops 3 was an incredible game, and it had its flaws, but like, there's also like, hearing that, like it definitely shifted your moods of the day, because like if you're not playing good and you're being, crap talk the whole time, like
Yeah, yeah,
you're quick to explode. And
totally.
even now when I get pissed off,
Yeah, you break
just in
controllers
a
and
game,
headsets and everything.
yeah, that's why I've stopped playing, because I can't.
Yeah, because you can't
And
handle it anymore. I mean, there's times, and you've known it too, where I've gotten off the game and I'm ready to break something. I'm so frustrated and mad. And
well, I don't really break things anymore. I did that like forever ago, but
well, you don't have an Xbox
yeah,
anymore, do you?
no, I don't have an Xbox just because it fucking my whole gigabytes and shit, bro. No, it was actually HDMI was busted. My old Xbox was actually really fucking good.
All right. So one other thing that I do want to point out. So I do think. Do you think that parents know what goes on when you log into a multiplayer match or even like a Warzone match and how kids actually communicate with each other? Like, were you ever like, oh my god, like this isn't this isn't how we talk to people, or you know what I mean? Like, did you have enough common sense to know that the real world didn't work like that, but like just the sheer fact that you were a part of it, like got you just even considering behaving that way outside of the game?
Yeah, well, like, yeah, parents definitely don't know, and
Right.
maybe some of them do, some of them don't. Like,
I mean,
yeah, I just,
I knew,
hmm
but I think others, I don't think others as parents, when they say to their kids, yeah, you can have an hour or 2 hours of Xbox time, they don't ever take into consideration the communication that goes on between, one person and another, and the racial slurs that are being thrown around and the swear words. And they think that because you got 2 hours invested in video games, that it's a break for them. I mean, I know we would tell you guys to go do that. You know what I mean? Like, go do something for 2 hours and leave us alone. We want to, watch TV or whatever. But like, I don't think that they have any idea. And I think that if they did, they would be really concerned about it.
yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what you just said. I mean, you kind of answered the question for me.
I did. I'm sorry.
Like, no, you're good because you said exactly what I was going to say. So you're right. Like, they don't know, and they get 2 hours, and they think their 2 hours is just gonna be chill time, but playing video games can also it just indulges some stress at sometimes. Like, everyone wants to fucking win, and if you don't get pissed off about not winning, then what's the point?
Then what's the
Because like
point? Exactly. Well,
and you'll be doing things to get it, and it's just like video games. Like it takes time, it takes effort. Like if you can't, some games you can buy your way through it, but some game like Call of Duty games, like you gotta grind and level up these weapons, and you gotta put in the hours, and like it's like actually like it could be a pain in the ass.
yeah, no, it is. Well, that's interesting because I want to move on to the other topic I want to talk about with you because I think it had a really positive impact on you. I think, but you can confirm, which was when you sort of moved away from Warzone or even Black Ops 3 or 12 or whatever it is, and got really invested into Fallout. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, so Fallout was before all of those games.
Okay,
Fallout was one. It was Minecraft and Fallout. I think Minecraft is every kid's nowadays first game.
right.
Minecraft or Roblox, and so I had an Xbox 360 at the time. And I remember like just loading it in and playing Fallout in Vegas and being starstruck because it was such this this simple but complex story and these DLCs that were gorgeous. And I can die for a story. And I think you know I would choose Fallout New Vegas over any game all day. And that was the games I was playing. It was Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4. Um,
But
and
no, but
really, it
but
was just
but
like,
what I remember was, you know, I would go into the playroom and we're talking hour three of being on the game, and you're still, you're talking about the Pep Boy, you're talking about the tools that you need to charge your suit, you're talking about the storyline and how you met these people in Fallout Vegas. I mean, like the whole video game, you embraced all of it, like in a
yeah,
way
I
that
have
I
over
didn't,
like,
I couldn't even imagine.
yeah, I mean, I have over, I think, like 75 to 100 days on that game. Like, and like, you could spend more days on that and you'd still not get through so many of these quests, like, it's just such a versatile game, and each playthrough is different. And so it's just that of like, hey, you want to become this you know, this guy who assassinates people, or this cowboy, or like this like ghoul, and you want to like roam the wastelands. And it's also like the incredible story of Fallout New Vegas. Like the whole is about the lone wanderer, that's his name, and he's a courier, and it's this journey he goes on, getting back to New Vegas, finding the people who shot him. It was just like it was the aesthetic of the game that I drew so much love towards, and it was also just, if not one of the most amazing story games of all time. Like, there's so many ways to play the game, and so many different outcomes. And, for me, I just wanted every single outcome.
Right,
So
right,
that's
right.
why I drew so invested into it.
Well, yeah, I just remember you not being able to not stop talking about it and not being able to play it. And I thought that was interesting because we had talked about, Warzone and, Fortnite at the time was, I think, also really hot, but those games didn't
Mm-mm.
didn't captivate you like Fallout did. And, knowing that Gavin, who's your older brother, was a Fallout, fiend,
What do you
seeing the
mean?
fact that you went and
Fortnite fiend?
what?
Gavin never played Fallout.
No, I said Fortnite.
You said Fallout.
I think I said Fortnite. We'll go back to the tape. But the fact that the two of you had two different, um, passions in the game, I thought was really really interesting, and it speaks to, what goes into making and how to make games that get kids, super excited about it. But I mean, did Fallout New Vegas or Fallout have like, things that you could buy? Like I don't remember you ever asking.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
you did.
yes.
Okay.
I remember I was like, hey, like, Dad, like, I really want it. It was called the Gun Runners, and you get more weapons. I remember you bought it for me. And then I also got maybe, no, I bought the DLCs on my own. But I know I got the Gun Runners, and I
Yeah, but it wasn't the
loved it.
type of money that Gavin was spending on Fortnite.
No, 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 no.
No, I mean it
Nowhere
was
compared.
completely different.
Like
And
in total, like the max you can spend on that game is $50, I believe. But definitely less right now, and
no,
that's how it's always been.
so let's shift for a second. So how did playing that game and how did embracing that game help you just get through, the day, the days at hand? Like what did you learn from that game that you can incorporate and have incorporated in, your real day to day, if at all?
There's there's a lot of patience that comes to those type of games.
Hmm.
Like in a sense, even more to multiplayer games.
Right.
You have to be so like intact and in the right mind, and like I do it like I have 1 week phase a year where I will play that game, and I will spend between 40 to 50 hours on that game, and that's just that 1 week.
Right.
And what I realized from that game, which is might seem corny, but like patience. Like I've been so big on patience, and that game takes patience because you have to be patient with getting the story. You have to get patient with leveling up and leveling this thing up so that you can get this thing to do this other thing. Like it's just everything
One fed on
connects.
another,
Uh-huh.
like a
And so,
puzzle piece.
one of the things, yeah, is like when you level up, you get so many amount of these tokens
Right.
or these points that you can put to different skill trees, right? And say you needed to do this quest and it required 75 medicine, and you're 40 medicine, and you're level 20. You're like, oh shit, like this is going to take me at least 2.5 hours to level up. Because once you get to that, like the grind it takes once you hit like level 20 to really level up is like, it's hard. It's hard.
Right.
And so, you got to put these skills in this, and then once you put it in these skill trees, it's going to give you these perks that you can pick from. And you can have as many perks as you want, but you can only pick 3 at that time. So it's just like, it's the complexity and the patience and the understanding, and you just have to be super, 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 super patient. So I think that's what I realized, that the game's the reason why I love it so much, because I'm a very patient person, and the reason why I'm so patient is because I
But
was
you're
very
also
patient with
immersed
Fallout.
in the story, right? Like
Hmm.
the story, you are hook, line, and sinker. Like there's really not much to the Fortnite story. I mean, the purpose for Fortnite and the purpose for Warzone is entertainment, right? Like killing and doing all the things that we know both those games do. But in Fortnite, it was so much more than just a battle. It was embracing the whole environment and everything that you had to do in that environment to level up to get to a higher tier of the game that you couldn't get to until you did that.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I would say I would, I would definitely like if I could choose one game, I would play back like again. It would be Fallout, Fallout New Vegas. And like there was Fallout 4, and that's why I got the Xbox One, was to play Fallout 4. I remember I got it. I remember I got it on the deck at the old house, and I immediately plugged it up upstairs. I downloaded Fallout 4, and I played it nonstop for a month. And I got these mods, and I go back, and Fallout 4 was good, but it's nowhere compared to how great Fallout New Vegas was. It was just newer at the time.
That's so funny because you know me. I mean, I'm your dad. Like I'm not very patient, right? And I want to get to where I need to go and get there faster. But the analogy of like leveling up weapons and the grind that it takes in order to do that is similar to the grind that you have to go through in Fallout or Fallout New Vegas to get to a tier where you can actually engage in a storyline that you couldn't do if you weren't at that level. And so I think the act of actually grinding is, you know, certainly
It's
different, but at the same time, you appreciate the way that that game does that differently than you would, let's say, in Warzone and any other game where someone could buy a gun and just have it,
hmm well,
set and
it's
ready to go.
also, if let me interrupt you. Like for all games, it's the satisfaction of once you get that grind, once you get that camo,
Mm,
you got it. It's not something like you grind. I remember like Vanguard, like I grinded to get this diamond camo. And I spent like I think 20 hours on it probably to get it, or probably less than that. I don't know, but like it's fucking hard. Like it's like it's no easy task. I mean, does it require a lot of physical activity? No. Like you gotta like have like this kind of mental capacity to be like, okay, I gotta get to this point
right,
before I can get to this point. And that's hard. Like, like in Warzone, when you have to level up this gun because it's meta
right,
and it's taken a while, like, it's in some ways it can be boring, like
yeah,
I just want to go fucking kill guys in Warzone. And Warzone's now like the most, like, it's more enjoyable than multiplayer, and that's just because things have shifted.
right.
So you're playing this and you're leveling up this gun, and once you finally get it, you're like, let's go. Like I can finally compete. And it's the satisfaction of getting that camo, of getting that grind, and just being like, yeah, I did it. And I have this. And not too many other people have this. And I did this. Not too many people did this.
Yeah, no, I get it. I 100% get it, and I love that that kind of fuels your fire to play the game and want to do well because that is always a good thing. Um, what are some of the things that you don't like about gaming or gaming in general that you wish were changed, or if you could change, you would?
Well, right now, I think the gaming world isn't, like, it's nowhere compared to where it was like 10 years ago. Like, Warzone 2 is good. Like, it's good. But, like, it's just a copycat of Warzone 1. They just put it onto a new
Yep.
system. And that's great because Warzone 1 was like on guard, like, can be considered as one of the greatest Call of Duties of all time. But I think they're so thirsty for money, that like there's really no games that they make like Fallout, or games that they make like as good as Assassin's Creed. I mean, like there's just no games of Fallout, and like I haven't. I may be wrong with some things because I know there's some amazing green games that come out. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
you're not
I like
spending
I
eight out of the
haven't,
days play 8 hours of the day playing video games,
but
and I
yeah.
understand that.
But my interpretation is like it's also the age. Like I wish I could be 12 again playing Black Ops 3.
Right.
Losing my shit. And it's the worry behind that because when you're playing video games at such a young age, that's the only thing you gotta worry about. Compared to 16 now, I gotta worry about what I gotta do. I gotta worry about I'm growing up in business, and you're a grown up, so you're worrying about bills, and so it's also the time. It's not the game's fault; it's um, the time when you're playing. And so like I think it's more not the games that are coming out; it's the time you want to chase. And
Huh.
everyone would like to be back that age. But there are some shitty games that come out, and everyone expects them to be good.
No, that's a really good point. I mean, the reason why I play video games is certainly different. I think in your age, I play the video games, to play with the guys and to bond and grow the food tribe. I think your main focus to playing the video games falls back on wanting to get the right camo, wanting to
Hmm.
achieve do those achievements that show whoever you're playing with that that's what you've leveled up to and the accomplishment associated with that. So I think they're two different things. But at the same time, I think, we've shared countless experiences that I obviously will never forget on Rebirth. I made a TikTok video of you smoking dudes with 80 perp, right? And the highlights
Hmm.
there. Like we've connected in a deeper way through the camaraderie that comes through gaming differently than we have in, you know, maybe anything else outside of the game. Unless you can
Hmm.
think of something else, right? Like I mean, anything other than camping and doing the other things that we did, like I mean, football. I mean, you played football. I was obviously the coach for a while. That was different. But like, what other hobby that do we do that gets us in that mind frame that we get in when we get on the game? Do you know?
I think like having Rebirth, and especially just like the time period of it was Rebirth, me, you, and Gavin, and it was just that like it was a hard time,
Right? Yeah, yeah,
and so like having that at the end of the day, I think you know, as much as hard those times were, I would do anything to be back to, being back in, the trailer and, you know, munching on little bites with our
right,
Lipton teas
right.
and you having your chew spit all over your table
I had it everywhere.
and the smell of Gavin's vape. It's
Right.
just like I miss the very distinct smell and I think yeah, like I think those are the really bonding moments. I love those moments.
Yeah.
And I
No,
don't
I
think there
agree.
was really anything else.
I think that the game in and of itself and the aspects associated with the game has definitely bonded us in that unique way, which um, I think today is much harder to do outside of a video game. But look, I mean, we got a long road ahead of us. You know what I mean? There's plenty of more stuff that we could do, but look, we're coming up on a half an hour, and that's usually where I kind of want to stop. Is there anything else that you want to add that you think is relevant that our audience of 5 people could hear and listen to?
Um,
Like what strategic advice would you give to someone who's hopping on the game the first time or is frustrated? Like think about it from that perspective.
I would say, like I told my dad this, like, aiming and stuff, like that's a big thing, but if you just get down the movement and
Yeah,
always having armor and, like it's also, like you gotta like enjoy the game, and it's hard to enjoy a game when you're not really good at it.
Oh,
And
100%.
there'll be a time frame where you won't be good at it, but you will strive because you like being good at things.
Right.
And once you get good at it, there's a satisfaction of that. But I think, be passive, don't rush into things, and don't let it overtake your life, and don't let the whole game determine your mood for the night. 'Cause,
Is that something? Are you saying that kind of between the lines? Because that can happen to me.
it can happen to me, it can happen to you, it happens to Gavin. Shit. Yeah, I mean, like, I would get pissed off at you because I would be in my bed, and then, I'd hear you fucking screaming, and I'd go talk to you like 20 minutes later, and you'd tell me, get the fuck away from me, or some shit like
I would
that.
never do that.
Or you'd be like, I'm in the middle of a fucking day right now. Sorry, Dad, I just want to say I love you and good night. Fuck off.
A good thing that you could suggest for people to do is put back the settings that you had to change from keyboard to controller.
Oh my God, you're such a fucking ass. I do switch it back.
Listen, it's getting late. You got school tomorrow. I love you very much. You're a trooper for hanging in there. You did great, man. I'm proud of you, dude. Like, it's all good stuff.
Appreciate it. I follow in your footsteps.
So listen, before we go, one of the things that we traditionally do when we sign off is we say, get the fuck out of here. So we got to do it in unison. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Get the fuck out of here. I love you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I love you very much.
Okay, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
There it is. The illustrious Hog Jr. I was pretty blown away by some of my man's comments. I mean, like, you would think that he's had like good parents or a good role model, right? Like, in order to be a man, you got to see a man, right? Wow. I'll remember this one for sure, and hopefully you will as well. I mean, like, I think video games for kids, are important. You could hear from Aiden, how much he fell in love with the storyline associated with Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, and he embraced that, and he was even capable of saying that the game helped him be patient. I mean, really? Holy cow. Anyway, I don't know if you could tell, but I love my son very much, and we've all gone through some challenging times here in the last couple of years, and video games have been a big part of us bonding and staying connected, and I hope they will for you too, if you haven't considered it doing with your kids. So with that, hey man, we'll see you on the next one. Stay out of trouble. Hey! Blueberry Chesterfield, South Korea!